the group's name. Will you welcome them? Hello, Eternal.
So everybody, for your safety, I would say probably don't be in the first row, because you might get hit with a guitar.
When Hello Eternal formed in 2008, I don't think any of us knew how important it would be to us years down the line. The memories we were able to make through music and brotherhood, sharing with the Central Texas hardcore community, is something we did proudly. And now, in memory and celebration of our brother Keith, we've come together again for the goodbyes we never get.
Hello Eternal, man. That was, can't tell my story without understanding the place Hello Eternal has.
To talk about the start of Hello Eternal, we need to go further back.
There was this kid in my humanities class named George. We just talked, and one day he mentioned he played bass. And I was like, dude, let's jam sometime. He's like, hey, well, you got to meet my friend Keith. He's really good at guitar. We played for an hour. I just remember really liking his energy, but we were just like kids. And at the middle of my 11th grade year, another friend of mine in a different humanities class named Evan, he was like telling me, hey man, I got this band and he played drums. It's me and my friend David Coloridis. And I was like, David's in this band.
A band called Winner by Default, and like a garage punk band.
Oh my gosh, that band was so fun. In 11th and 12th grade, we played so many house shows. And
I was in 8th grade, and I met this guy named Sam Ballou. We jammed, and we very quickly connected, and we're like, dude, let's start a band. Started a little band called On the First Warning. And meanwhile, my brother, who was a drummer, he was in a band with David. They were in a band called Winner by Default.
We were writing good songs, but like there was like an edge missing.
We wanted to expand into like a little bit faster, a little bit harder of a sound. Yeah, we just need to find another guitarist.
And I just remember bringing up, I was like, dude, I know this guy that I played with in 9th grade one time, and he was really good at guitar. His name's Keith Tackett.
Do you know Keith Tackett? I was like, yeah? Keith plays guitar? What? It's just the deepest secret I've ever heard of anybody. It was like, what do you mean Keith plays guitar? Like, I went to school with him all throughout elementary, middle school, into high school. I don't know, we were never in the same circles. And the first time he ever came over with an amp and I saw him play, I was like, bro, why do you never talk about this? Like, you're a shredder, like doing full sweet picking arpeggios and stuff like that. And I'm like, who are you? How much time have you been putting into these? Like I just spent like summers practicing how to play guitar. I was like, that's insane. Like, what are you talking about? Like, come get in this band right now.
One of my first memories of meeting Keith was at a show at Condor Park, where me and my buddy Corbett, the drummer, went to go see Winner by Default, his older brother's band, who's now the singer in Hello Eternal. He played drums in that band. Dave played bass, and they just got this new member to play second guitar, Keith Tackett. I remember hearing him at Condor Park and thinking, wow, the musicality this fourth guy in the band added is just tremendous.
And though all four of us were super different and we bumped heads a lot, fun, awesome music. And honestly, that's when me and Keith started a really close friendship. And David and Evan both kind of already had like friend groups established. And so like I hung out with them, but me and Keith, we would like connect a lot. By the time we were graduating, Keith was absolutely my best friend.
Tyler and Keith both went off to college.
And then we both went to college. And I had this musical project I had to do. And I linked up with Keith, and I had been working on vocals. Keith had written the first half of a song, and so I kind of came in and we worked on it, and we went up to Waco and we did this rough demo, and
it got the wheels turning.
Been shopping some names for a band. I was like, dude, I want to do like a screamo post-hardcore band, like I want to call it Hello Eternal. And he was like, let's do it. It was like a matter of filling it out, the rest of the band. So David approached me.
I was in another band in town. I was looking to start like a more metalcore project. So I reached out to Tyler. I was starting to talk with him.
They connected with Dave.
And he was like, dude, I've been writing heavy stuff. I was like, dude, I'm trying to get this thing going with Keith. Like let's get it, let's run it back. We needed a bass player and a drummer, and I was like, y'all, my brother and his friend Sam are legit. Y'all probably haven't heard him in a while.
and we grabbed Corbett and Sam.
It was kind of a merger of Winner by Default, along with 2 additional members, myself and Corbett.
So it's basically like we have an opportunity to kind of join Winner by Default, except do a totally new thing. So we were not going to say no to that. We were like, yes, we're in. But we definitely had to prove ourselves because we were just started our junior year, so we were 15 maybe.
I had seen their bands form like while we were doing Winner by Default, so I was like, I know they're capable, but like let's get together and see what happens.
Our plan was to fill out the sound and play heavier.
There was this awesome woman in town named Becky. She was just like, use my basement as a rehearsal space. So that's where Winner by Default would practice.
Miss Becky's basement, that's where Winner by Default did all of its practices, and eventually that's where Hello Eternal cut its teeth.
We all got together in a basement and just started working on some heavier music.
One time we got together, and I think that everybody felt like we could do something special. And so...
And yeah, once we got him in and we started writing, just clicked and worked.
I always found Keith really chill, really matter of fact, a really straightforward guy, and they were not lying about his guitar playing.
Dude, that guy could just set up an amp anywhere and start playing, and then like he would turn into another person, and he would just bring you in, you know, and he would create that space where creativity could come because like he took it serious, and so you could like dive into that vulnerable artistic expression.
I still to this day have not seen such technical proficiency, such grace when he played. He's the kind of guitarist you watch and you're like, oh, playing guitar must be easy because you make it look easy.
Just so good. He's so clean. Clean, precise, articulate picking through everything.
Methodical in the best ways possible.
I was always focused on the final product, the expression of the art, but like with Keith, he was pushing everyone to be their best all the time.
I really felt to bring value to this band, I have to be the best drummer. Like I have to be like on the same level as the best member in the band.
I was having to play catch up to Keith's guitar ability so much. He's so good. And he was so good all the way through like our first band with Winner by Default and everything too. Like I know how capable he was. So like when we were bringing him in, I was like, oh shit, I gotta get really good. Like I gotta get this thing together.
Being in a band with him was like, do your job, do it well, keep pushing, you know? And man, he brought the best out of all of us. No one really showed it at the time, but I think when we all talk now, I think everyone was always trying to impress Keith. Everyone wanted his approval in one way or the other. I know I did.
Writing with him was really fun too, with natural chemistry, especially once we got to the point in Hello Eternal where we got some shows under our belt. And being in that band and being exposed to that level of musicianship across the board really was like a pressure cooker for Sam and I.
But I mean, that's just the caliber of Keith's writing. I was just like, I gotta write something that impresses Keith. That's the first thing that was like on my list, is like, I gotta make sure he goes, yeah, that's a cool riff. That carried on throughout so much of my writing, like even after Hello Eternal. Anytime I was doing something on guitar, it was like, hey, would Keith think this is badass? Sweet.
I'd say Keith was really responsible for keeping us honest, just the aesthetic of what the band would be, and making sure we always just found like 5 guys in a room giving it everything.
Being in a band with Keith was very much like just being friends with Keith. High intensity and chill. Like he would just flip that switch. He knew when to focus, he knew when to cut up.
Keith had such a fun spirit to him, while also like knowing when to be straight-laced and serious about like offstage, like, yo, we still need to be professionals. There's still something about this aspect that's a business and we need to treat it as such.
Being in a band with him was one of the coolest things ever because he was so professional. He was always thinking of the next step. Like, we're having fun, we're living our dream, but like, let's be professional. He was always like, he was the through line of that band that pushed it forward.
He was our accountant for the band too, basically. He was running all of our money for everything. Because he was for sure the most responsible out of all of us at the time. 100%. Like, he helped me keep it together as far as like booking and taking care of those aspects. I think because of that, we had a really good relationship with Art Ambush, and I think that's why we got to play with as many of the bands that we did.
I'd run into people every now and then and be like, hey, dude, you were in Hell Eternal, right? Dude, that's wild. It's like, yeah, man, there was nothing to do, and I used to always see your shows. It's like, man, that's so cool. I definitely didn't have that growing up, and that was like what made me fall in love with music, and then going and playing that music because of it, giving other kids something to do. That's just kind of cool to be a part of that, and to be part of that like scene while it was around.
Art Ambush should have gotten a lot more love for what it was doing at the time. I really do believe that. Especially to provide an all-age venue.
Shout out to Art Ambush in Waco. Like, they gave us a space to gain a following. They booked us a lot. They put us on big tickets before we had a following.
Like, that's how you get a culture of kids who go to shows. That's how you make like a real hardcore scene, is just like, hey, the only thing there is to do here is music. And that's it. Like, there's music and you can buy merch. And then, like, if you're old enough, you can get a tattoo and a piercing, which just feeds back into the hardcore, like, industry.
Art Ambush was the place where we were able to do the bucket list stuff. Like, that's where we got to play with a Skylit Drive, Oh Sleeper, Memphis Mayfire, Of Machines, Fear Before the March of Flames, Sky's Airplane, A Bullet for Pretty Boy.
Man, just that whole scene, I wish could have gotten a magnifying glass on it.
That's where we played our best shows. Art Ambush and Bethel. Those were our two regular venues we play.
We always ran with Everyone Dies in Utah.
Everyone Dies in Utah.
EDIU. I mean, like, those were the main guys. Obviously played with a bunch of other fun ones, you know, like playing with Our Desperate Measures.
Our Desperate Measures.
Our Desperate Measures out of Waco.
We had our boys in Adela.
The
Tasty Dactyls.
Cute as a Button.
Cute as a Button. A Call to Arms. So many of the Waco bands were all like good homies whenever we got up there and got to play and meet with them.
There was also a group called Wind Breaks the Dawn.
And Wind Breaks the Dawn.
Wind Breaks the Dawn from San Antonio.
Just every time we got to play a show with those dudes, it was just like, yeah, this is good energy. We like all of you guys. This is cool.
And countless others, like really cool bands.
My best show memory was probably Art Ambush at Oh Sleeper's CD release show.
Opening for Oh Sleeper.
For Son of the Morning. Just so many little things. I remember we did promo photos with Melly.
Hi, my name's Melly. I just want to jump on here and say how sweet of a soul Keith was. He was a very gentle person, very kind. All the guys in Hello Eternal was amazing, and I got the privilege of documenting a majority of it.
It's like our first professional photo shoot from Melly, who did the photos that are being, showcased on the album, and she captured our whole journey. So thank you, Melly.
Oh Sleeper was one of the bands I really remember that we watched their set, and we hung out and talked with those guys for a while after they got off stage. They really encouraged us, they really impressed us, and they really showed us that there's another level to go to. And I remember having a conversation with Keith about how he really got a lot of empowerment from playing with those Sleeper and seeing some of those older guys.
Yeah, I would say that's probably my favorite show. That and the Skylit Drive show.
What was it? One of the guitarists from a Skylit Drive got Corbett to drive him to the nearest gas station to get some Four Locos.
Definitely drove Joey, their guitarist, to go get him like some Four Locos before the show. But hey, you got to do what you got to do. You got to live that dream. But yeah, it was cool, man. All the bands we played with were always super dope, and they were always really cool.
The worst show memories are, although they're not even that bad, the memories of most blossoming bands in the counterculture hardcore scene.
We had a light system that we had bought from, I think, Everthorne. And really, at the end of the day, it was just like some work lights from Home Depot. There's a video of it where like the lights go off and they don't come back on. They were working for the first part of the show like just fine, but we literally got to the second song and like all those lights died and we're just playing in the dark. Lost all visuals for that whole section. I don't think we really ever played like a bad show outside of just like small technical difficulties going on throughout. You know what though? Our worst technical performance is our last show, the Farewell Eternal show in Waco. We did terrible. I can't remember if I had my pedal board or not. Like, I was playing all out of tune, and it was just, that whole thing is a mess. The very best moment about that show is when we're doing Faith and Fiction, and we get just absolutely stormed by Everyone Dies in Utah, throwing silly string all over the stage. We were the opening band that night. We get silly string all over the stage. I know Gabe's pissed at us at this point. It's just like, and we take our sweet time ending that song, but we make ourselves a little wall of death. And there's this glorious video of people just slamming into each other. You can see the homie Doggett in there, in that pit. Brett Wasson, who produced our EP for us, current guitarist of Everyone Dies in Utah, in that pit.
Love those guys. Can't thank them enough for everything they did for us on our farewell show. And obviously Brett, who is plays guitar with them now, was the producer for this record. Couldn't have done it without him. I'll back up because this will be like our best and worst show. I think we're the same exact show for me. I found out about a Battle of the Bands up in the Dallas area, and I signed us up. There was over 50 bands. It was like 3 days. It was called the Palladium Ballroom. It was a big venue back then. You know, no one knew who we were, so I sold all these tickets to my friends and my classmates at school up there, and they all agreed to come out. I was not prepared for how packed out it was going to be before our crew rolled in. Keith and I were both fighting off an illness.
We had just written this song called Texas Weather. We remember before we played, I don't think we'd ever played the song full band. I mean, maybe once the day before. It was kind of a technical song too. We were waiting to go on, and Keith, being the perfectionist that he was, he grabbed me and he was like, hey, can we go outside real quick to the balcony? I'm just gonna play my guitar and I'm gonna sing to you, and I just need you to play your parts on your legs so that I can like lock it in. And it was just a moment of me and Keith being nervous together.
We got up there and we were so excited. I think we played our 40-minute set in like 12 to 15 minutes. Our friends that showed up were just like, they felt that energy. Because, dude, we went hard, man. Like, we didn't care.
A lot of people that showed up, there were 50 bands.
The whole room was freaking moving. Whether they came for us or not, the whole room was moving. There was people crowd surfing, and I mean, the band that went on before us, I think, was like a jazz fusion band. It was just like such a smorgasbord of an eclectic battle of the bands, you know? And I just remember going like, there's no way that we're winning this thing. And then we checked, I think it was a MySpace account the next day, and they said we won.
And we ended up winning the thing.
And I was like, you've got to be kidding me right now. We won like $1,000, which we were able to turn into merch and our 5-song EP.
After Everyone Dies in Utah got their first demo done, gave me the reference to Sean at Impulse Audio up in Waco, and that's how we got our first EP done.
That, because we won that, the prize money went to us being able to record a 4-song, 5-song EP.
And that's super special because we were able to preserve Keith's original vocals. Thank you, Brett. You're a real one, dude. Couldn't have done this without you.
Sounds way better than I thought it was going to sound.
I know, but what? Let's do it. Janelle.
of our first performances. I don't want to say first, like definitely earlier on in our career for sure though. And that was only like, we were only a band for 2 years. Like we really kind of clipped our own wings there. Like we could have gone for a little bit longer and like really gotten some stuff going. Breaks my heart sometimes, like, man, like we didn't even get to go for that long. And like if we did, we really could have pulled some rabbits out of the hat there. Like we could have made some real magic. The end of Hello Eternal sucked. I think we were all really bummed. I don't think any of us like actually really wanted to stop doing the band, but I think we were just all in a place of like, I don't know how much we can work together right now.
You know, when we broke up, I think we broke up just because, well, the crazy thing is for 15 years, there was a lot of things left unsaid. There was a lot of misconceptions. There was a lot of ego.
I've just gone through a lot of stuff in my life because of things in me that existed that contributed to our band breaking up and losing touch with people and having ego and insecurity and pain. And
I mean, this stuff happens when you've got a band full of dudes who aren't even 21. Like, we could have really pushed far and gone far. I really believe that.
I think that's probably the thing that probably hurt us the most, is that we were so young trying to do something that hard. And like, we just didn't quite have the maturity for it, I guess. I want to say sometime around like 2022, a couple of times Corbett would message me about like to get together to do like a remaster project. And I was like, yeah, we can get everyone on board, but like, I don't know where everyone's at and how to get a hold of everyone anymore. Sometime in March, I had messaged Keith and was just like, hey man, like, why were you so good on guitar? And he sent me this beautiful message back about like how much he enjoyed like playing in the band and like, and how he was going back through those riffs and stuff too, and even like stuff from Winter by Default. A couple days after I had messaged him, one of my good friends, Michael Doggett, passed away.
I mean, I didn't know Doggett like intimately, but everyone knew Doggett in our community.
He was at a lot of our shows. You can see him in the mosh pit at one of the end of our at our last show for Farewell Eternal. And like his loss like really hit me super hard. But it kind of like sat into me like it's important to go ahead and do the things you can with your friends while you got them. At his memorial, I actually ended up running into Sam. That was the first time I had like seen or talked to him in like 10 years. I just went and gave him a hug.
It was really affecting David. Like I reached out to him, falling out with everybody and getting back together. Like this, like I know for David, it was like a shift for him, and for me, it was a shift. And then Corbett had been wanting to get back together with everyone, and then next thing you know, Sam's like right there in the mix, and we're all just kind of chumming it up.
And so it took a little bit of time to talk with everyone about doing it.
After I got on the phone with David and we were kind of talking and being vulnerable, I thought to myself, because there was this talk of the band getting back together, and then like, so that was a Friday, or that was a Thursday. Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, all I could think about was like, I allowed myself to think for the first time, maybe me and Keith will reconnect. It's so weird that I don't know his kids, he doesn't know my kids, that they don't know each other.
The last person I was supposed to talk to ask if they would be into it and down was Keith. And the weekend I was going to do it is the weekend he went to the hospital. And it's the weekend he passed away. To have just reconnected with Keith and to have just like started thinking about doing this project again, and then he's gone before I can like officially ask him. Songs I wrote to impress him that I'll never get to show him.
I was going to HEB, and then David, he was calling me to tell me that Keith had passed. And that was like, I would say, like, that's when, like, everything just, like, broke. And we all came together and we're like, dude, we're going to do this project for Keith.
I think that's a lot of where that energy for Memory of You came from for me lyrically.
David rewrote that song that really sums up the breakup of the band, getting back together, the shift in mindset, growing up and healing. And that's actually really cool because that is the song originally that me and Keith wrote in the summer for my school project when it was just me and him in Hello Eternal. We tried to recycle it and use it when we were back in 09. It was like the last song that we like wrote together. And then it was the last song we recorded for this record. And it sums up the entire like story of our band, which is just tip of the hat to David, man. It was an honor to be able to track that with him in the studio and just kind of like go through those emotions with him.
We were able to pull Keith's vocals for the remaster for the older songs, but we weren't able to pull his individual guitars out of the mix. Recording guitars is one of the hardest things I think I've ever had to do. I took it upon myself to learn his guitar parts, and that absolutely put me through it. Because again, Keith is one of the most proficient guitarists I've ever worked with. Getting to learn his parts, it felt like a way to be close with him again. I remembered bits of advice that he would give me back in 2009 about playing, and I would like remember it while I was recording one of the new songs. I remember when I played the guitar solo in the recital during the breakdown after the slow dance part. I definitely teared up. That felt like having Keith in the room with me. I really cherished that as an experience, like learning these guitar parts that Keith wrote. I got to hang out with my friend because of that. Like I got to hang out with Keith again. So I really hope I didn't screw up any of your lines, man.
There was a lot of emotions in re-recording songs that you wrote with your best friends, and one of the best friends isn't there anymore. There were a few times in the studio listening, thinking about these songs, playing them back especially, that I couldn't help but get taken back to Becky's basement where we used to practice. I was taken back to that sweaty church at the upstairs attic of Faith Temple where we'd wait until midnight to record, and so many of those memories shared that are in those songs that got brought forth when we revisited them. We've all still got music as a big part of our lives. We've all still got family as a big part of our lives. And that's really what this album is all about. It's all about immortalizing that bond we had and the strength we found in the friendship of the bands we played with and the strength we found in each other. Hardcore music is all about a community. It's all about a counterculture. It's all about we're the other guys, but it's okay because we can stick together.
Getting to do this and getting to like really make this EP sound the way that we always wanted it to. We just didn't really like get to put the time into mastering the way that we wanted. I'm just so thankful to be able to hear it in like a more full, complete way. The worst part about it is that we just don't have Keith here to celebrate it with us. I think this is a perfect send-off for Hello Eternal that we never really gave ourselves. It's in celebration of Keith, a testament to how great of a musician he was, how good of a friend he was to us. Like, truly one of the most dependable people I've ever had the pleasure of sharing a stage with or just a room with. I'm a lot better for having done this. Doing this has made me better guitarist, but more than that, like, I've got to talk with people that like I had sealed off for what reasons, like it's hard to like recall. I'm really glad to have been a part of this. I've missed being in a band. And this is the band that I had the most fun in. Absolutely.
It's definitely for the past 15 years, not having this has felt like a limb was missing.
It messed me up because any other project I've ever been a part of after that will never measure up. Never be able to like do that again, you know? Like, damn. It sucks, but it's like it's beautiful at the same time because like it makes it so real. Like that wasn't just some thought I had when I was a kid. Like that was real. Like he was a legend at guitar, and he was a fierce friend.
Hell Eternal means everything to me. This is the thing I'm the most proud of.
Like I said, this is the mountaintop for me. Like I've never been a part of collaborative group projects that have ever meant anything or felt as special as anything that when I've been able to write with David, Sam, and Corbett. So I love you, Keith. Shout out to Hello Eternal.
I really wish you were here with us, Keith. Love you. Miss you, man.